My name is Jesse Mwai, and thank you so much for tuning in. We continue, discussing about matters that have to do with relationships, and especially in the times and the days that we live in. One of the things that I don't know whether you may have noticed, maybe in your interaction with other people, is that we have more and more people these days that their word means absolutely nothing. I grew up in a generation where your word was actually your bond. If you said that you will do something, you actually went ahead and did it. If you promised somebody something, you actually went ahead and fulfilled that promise. And in the event you're not able to fulfill the promise, you actually took it upon yourself to try to explain yourself to the person that you had promised to. Your word became your bond. All you needed to do is to shake hands with somebody about something, and it was actually a sealed deal. But now we live in a time and in a generation where for most people, for a lot of people, you can hardly trust them. I mean, somebody tells you I'll show up at 1 p.m., they tell you I'll show up at 2 p.m. tomorrow, and they actually don't even show up, and they don't even apologize, they don't even explain about it. And we live in a generation where we can hardly trust one another. Even in a business deal, I have to bring my lawyer, maybe even 2 lawyers, you have to bring your 2 or 3 lawyers, and we have to sit down and read the fine print because it's difficult to trust one another anymore. Our words mean almost nothing. Yet, the way it is supposed to be is that your word should hold water. Your word ought to be your bond, especially if you're a Christian, you are a child of God, you're a man or a woman of faith. Your word must be your bond. You must be somebody who can be held accountable to the things that you promise, the things that you say. There are people that you meet, today they will give you one story. You meet them a few days later, they give you a totally different story the next day, and they're like shifting sands. You can't figure them out. Nobody can really figure you out. You're neither here nor there. Nobody can trust you. Nobody can trust the things that you say. But I want to encourage you, if you are going to be successful in this life, if you're going to earn respect in this life, if people are going to take you seriously in this life, if you're going to attract favor in this life, you must be a man or a woman who keeps your word. So here are just a few tips. Number 1, never promise what you can never deliver. If you cannot deliver something, if you know it is difficult for you to do something, don't promise just to please people. You'd rather be honest and say, listen, I cannot do that, or I cannot commit myself to that. You don't have to say something just to please people, knowing full well that you have no capacity to deliver on what you have actually said. Number 2 is that when you have promised something, and you are not able, because sometimes we promise and we give our word with every intention to fulfill that promise or that word. Sometimes things happen along the way. If that happens and you're unable for whatever reason to deliver on what you had promised or what you had said, it is always important to apologize. It is always important to explain yourself. It is always important to tell the other person, listen, I was not able because of 1, 2, 3 or 5 things. That way you redeem yourself. But then number 3, very, very important, that whatever you promise, whatever word you have given to somebody, fulfill it. Sometimes it will be uncomfortable. Sometimes it may mean that you have to sacrifice certain things. Sometimes it may mean that it's going to inconvenience you, but because you gave your word, because you promised, I may have promised maybe to do something while it was shining, the sun was shining, but then tomorrow it's going to start raining. Should I still fulfill my word? Yes. If you are worth your word, you must fulfill that word, even when it makes you uncomfortable. Now, when you do those 3 things, very simple things, I promise you one thing, that you will earn credibility. People will begin to take you seriously. People will seek you out. People will want to identify themselves with you. If you're running a business, you'll find that you'll attract more clients. You'll attract more customers. Why? Because people know you're a man of your word. You're a woman of your word. If you do the opposite, I promise you this, people will avoid you. People will never take you seriously. People will walk away from you. You will miss out on some wonderful opportunities because you cannot keep your word. Remember this: Your word is your bond. Be a man, be a woman of your word. No matter what it takes, guard your word with everything that you have. Sometimes it will be difficult. Sometimes it's not going to be easy. But with time, you will create credibility. Please share this word. Please share this snippet with somebody, as many people as you can, because I'm sure there are people who need to hear this. And may the Lord bless you.